Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Bud Yorkin's Inspector Clouseau in 1968. Yes, we are here with another Pink Panther, kind of series review here. I was going to be returning to these at some point. I actually got a challenge by the YouTuber Jared Griffiths. So of course, I'll leave a kind of link in the description to his channel. Check it out, of course. He gave me this challenge, and yes, he's done quite a lot of the reviews that I've done and stuff. And yeah, a lot of comedies, some really good stuff on his channel, so check that out, of course. And yes, he reviewed this film, and he gave me a kind of shout out and a challenge. So yes, as requested, I review this film, and of course, he did say, it's a bad film, and I never had high hopes for the film. This is something I've really not been looking forward to watching. Of course, I will be reviewing, all these Pink Panther films. I've had a break since January, of course, I believe, from the Peter Sellers ones, because I thought, yes, quite clearly the rest of them I'm probably not going to like, and this one truly confirmed that. I know this is meant to be one of the very worst, if not the worst, but yes, I really have even lesser hopes for these films. Wow, this film, I could not believe it, and actually I can't believe I just have to talk about this again. I truly hated this film, but yes, where to begin? This is just, I put it on, of course, the other day to give it a watch, and yeah, this is, as I say, this is kind of, it's definitely done really bad at the box office. It's kind of made the third in the series, pretty much, but it was made at a time when Peter Sellers, Blake Edwards, and of course the usual composer were off doing other things. The Party was getting made in '68. They didn't want to continue with this and make this film, but the Mirish company sort of said they really wanted him to return, but then of course when they declined, they went ahead anyway, and it done really bad at the box office, probably because of this, because of Sellers and stuff weren't in the film. It's kind of a very obscure film, this, and yeah, as I say, it kind of tanked to the box office. Well, what I say to that, it's good. I'm glad that happened. Very ignorant. This film to be made. And just they thought they could do it without them, but there you go. That's what you get. You just want to make money and butcher. What a great character was made. Of course, especially with this film here, which is one of the among the greatest comedies that I've seen. I love this film, very near to being perfect for a comedy. Great film, this. If you want to see the best Pink Panther film from me, check this out. And yes, I did, say before that I thought all these other films I would like, and this one, was one of my least favourite films of all time. I absolutely despised this film with a passion, a real passion for this. I hated it. Pretty much every second was just awful. This is I've heard it being said before. Actually, so I'm kind of relieved. For me, this is one of the worst comedies ever made. I couldn't quite believe what I was watching. And Arkin, of course, plays Inspector Clouseau, and of course, I'm not going to get into the specifics of this film because it's very just a generic stock plot and everything involved, and just a lazy film. This film, I'm not going to bother mentioning that because clearly they didn't care about this, so I don't really either. This is something that is just pathetic, in what they were doing here. They didn't care whatsoever, clearly. This is the sort of film that really annoys me, of course, especially, when they were just desperate to go ahead and make money, and couldn't wait for these great guys, to come back, the usual team, of course, and yes, they did return, kind of in 75, with Return of the Pink Panther, of course, that was a really good film. I pretty much love that film, and of course, Strikes Again as well, being really good. I love that one. But yes, this one, is definitely, the most obscure film, and it's just, there's something where the plot, it just doesn't matter, which can be fine, of course, but none of the characters or anything, literally no characters in this film seem kind of sincere or kind of thought out at all. Especially, I was really shocked by the portrayal of Inspector Clouseau. Now, this is one of the greatest comedy characters in film, played by Peter Sellers, who's one of my favourite comedy actors. Of course, just one of the very best, not just in the Pink Panther films. You know, and that's even excluding the films that I've got to see, you know, like The Party actually as well. You know, but Doctor Strangelove, Lolita, all these films, it's just so great. And in Doctor Strangelove, obviously 3 performances in one. But yes, this performance by Arkin, who is actually a really good actor. You know, I've seen him in a few things, including Edward Scissorhands, off memory. Going in Style, that was actually very underrated for me. A very good film. He was really good in that. You know, he's clearly a really good actor. But this film, complete misfire. I actually think this is one of the worst performances I've ever seen. You know, in an actual kind of, you know, not a film that's completely, you know, straight to DVD, you know, or B film, you know, in many regards, you know, like films I've never seen. But you know, in terms of just kind of a film that's part of something that's quite big, of course, this is one of the worst because it just doesn't work on any level whatsoever. Not just you know, compared to Peter Sellers, but just as a comedy character. There's not a single, now here we go, not a single moment in this film where I actually laughed intentionally. That is a shock. That's the only other film that's done that, you know, kind of recent memory of what I've watched is Police Academy 7. You know, so that is something that is quite shocking to say. I think this is worse than Police Academy 5 by quite a bit. Now that is something that, you know, that's dangerous territory there. You know, that's sinking into some of the worst comedies I've ever seen. You know, I was thinking afterwards, I can't give it more than what I'm going to give it because, you know, it's just something else. You know, the first half, yes, it has some, you know, it's not quite unwatchable at times, and most of it is awful. You know, this is always going to be, you know, in the kind of, you know, below 20%. I'll say that now. Spoilers for the end review. But yes, you know, this film was pretty much always awful. There's a couple of moments here and there that aren't, or maybe just a couple of shots or aspects about the film that isn't, you know, truly dreadful. But it's something that never made me laugh intentionally. This hasn't even got a kind of campy charm. You know, in a way that it's so bad. It's kind of you know, enjoyable. This is something I can't. You know, maybe once I kind of laughed at that, but that's because I was going insane at that point. You know, this film, very rarely did I actually even smile or smirk, you know, about anything in this film. This is something else. It's a complete, you know, misfire. There's not a single line. The way that, you know, this character is portrayed, Inspector Clouseau, wow, you know, I can't believe it. You know, I just couldn't believe it. The performance worked on no level whatsoever. The accent, of course, is really overdone, which is, you know, is kind of fine. You know, Peter Sellers done it. You know, it was great. But this just doesn't work at all. This is like a really bad parody of this, and wow, you know, it's just I didn't like Alan Arkin at all in this film. It's a really, unfortunately, dreadful performance. I'm just being honest, and yeah, just the way it was written is abysmal. The writing in this film is absolutely dreadful, and there's so many lines that he delivers that there's just, wow, it completely falls flat. I couldn't believe what was happening. This is one of the most boring films I've ever seen. It's just, it really reminds me of something like Diamonds Are Forever, or yeah, Police Academy 5. The way, you know, the characters and stuff, just sluggish, so sluggish, going through the motions, you know, to no avail. You know, this was such a painful film, and I was constantly just kind of seeing how much time is left in the film because I hated this experience. Just wow, shameful experience. The way it's shot is at its best, you know, kind of bad. Most of the film is very awful in the way it's shot. Not quite unwatchable to the way that it's, you know, it's kind of you know, really poorly lit or anything. The editing is not, you know, something, this stops it from being completely unwatchable, but it's quite close. The editing is not, you know, some of the worst I've seen. It is kind of, it's not, you know, kind of painful in the eye at times throughout the film. There's some shots that aren't, you know, that bad, and the way it's put together, but really it's nothing to praise at all. Even the editing and stuff is, at times, it's kind of incompetent actually, and the way the film flows is just it's nothing. You know, the way it's constantly kind of you know, slugging through. This was painful. There's not a single, you know, side character as well that is actually you know, interesting, compelling, funny. You know, this film lacks so much charm. You know, the timing is all off, and of course it's trying so hard. That's the thing. You know, with Peter Sellers, Yes, of course, so much goes into it. He was a genius actor, of course, and yes, he completely mastered the role. But yes, it didn't seem like he was trying in his film because he was so good, of course. It seemed like this generally was just an idiot character who kind of was unaware and everything, But in this film, Alan Arkin seems like he's trying so hard. Of course, the writing to kind of to be so funny that it just because it isn't funny, it just lands, it fails even further to a point where it becomes absolutely frustrating beyond belief. To the point where it angers me so much. Very rare for a film to do this, especially when I think as well that the thing that annoys me so much more is the way they didn't wait, for these members like Blake Edwards, of course. They just went ahead with it, desperately, of course, and it failed. And I don't care. I'm pretty sure that most people would think this is a bad film. This is just completely awful film, and wow. Just as I say, the screenplay is so bad. Of course, just Frank Waldman, I believe, was the screenwriter on this film. Really, just such a bad script. So many cheap lines. The dialogue, at times is just pretty much, abysmal. It's so bad. The music starts off decent, but it kind of actually becomes annoying in the way it's used. There's some really weird sound effects and stuff, and weird things the characters do. At first I was thinking I was going to kind of going insane in the second half, but no. The character of Alan Arkin plays started just really weirdly, bizarrely screaming for no reason. Just it went really insane in the second half. What they were doing with the character, just screaming. It's just so annoying. This film, of course, you have some good actors in the film. There's actually an actor who's in Clockwork Orange, which is weird because I watched that last week again, and I recognised him, of course, and these these criminals and stuff. The way it's portrayed could not be more kind of bland and kind of cut out kind of characters, plot. It's so it's just so boring. There's nothing in this film that's compelling really at all. It's just the point. Nothing works. Definitely not. Not everything becomes to a point where it's completely unwatchable or kind of so dreadful, but very close to that. And of course, I have to give this film a 14%. That is something that I didn't think I'd give. I could not believe this. This is something that went so far. To kind of just annoy me, irritating film. Bore me to death. I thought, this film should be over surely. At this point, but it's only about 40 minutes in. So I thought, wow, this is one special film for all the wrong reasons, of course. This has got a 5 on IMDb. I actually think it's a bit high for the film, but by that standard, by IMDb, it's very low. Of course, it is a panned film. Roger Ebert as well would luckily you kind of say this isn't great. Just so many people hate this film, and I'm one of them. This is no way a film to praise in any way. It's just awful. A dreadful film. I was thinking at the end, the films that it's worse than that I've kind of seen in the last sort of 2 years, that are, some of the worst I've seen. Die Another Day, of course, the rewatch of that. I thought that was completely dreadful, but I was thinking, wow, that actually, at least it has. When I say at least, Die Another Day has this, or at least Police Academy 5 has a couple of slight laughs in there, some slight gags in there. That is, when it's getting to a point where, wow, this film is really dreadful. This is definitely one of the worst kind of 5 films or so that I've seen in the last year. There's only a few films really that top this, like Van Helsing, of course, the 2004 one that I've seen recently. But wow, this film, wow, this is absolutely shocking, a shocking state of affairs, and definitely among the worst films I've ever seen. So overall, of course, this was truly painful to watch. It's a film that bored me to tears. It's something that, wow, it just doesn't work really on any level whatsoever. It's not quite into the unwatchable mark, but moments in the second half definitely was. The way that this film is shot, just never allows the kind of the many slapstick sequences to kind of be delivered in a way that kind of just works, for the screen. it's so poorly timed and judged. It's just wow, performances, of course, especially unfortunately Alan Arkin. Yeah, just awful. It's just a truly, truly dreadful film. One of the worst I've seen, in recent memory. Definitely one of the worst 5 films really that I've seen in the last year or so. So yes, wow. So yes, as requested, of course, I reviewed this film. Jared Griffiths, of course. Yeah, check out his channel. I nominate you, of course, Jared, to watch 3 films here. I know your thoughts on one of these films, but it'd be good to see a review of it. And yeah, that is Police Academy 7. Yeah, these are films, of course, everyone that I do despise personally. But of course, yeah, it'd be interesting to see your review on these. The other one would be Van Helsing, from the 2000s, 2004, and yes, Son of the Mask. These are films I generally think are at least awful. Police Academy 7 is the worst film that worst I've reviewed on the channel. Pretty much the worst film that I've seen all the way through in the last five or so years. So yeah, of course, it'd be great to see one of them maybe. Of course, that's why they're the picks. I've given you a few choices there. So yes, this film was painful, as I say, and just I would not recommend this film. If you're watching this, guys, just truly, truly awful. This is something that, wow. And of course, as I say, no sympathies whatsoever for the the company and stuff for going ahead with this. It's just ignorance, really. It's not. This is not how film should be. Cinema. It's such a shame this happened, of course, and Alan Arkin was involved as well. Just it's not really his fault, but again, performance is so bad. But wow, they really, really knew how to kind of mess things up. Luckily, of course, we had the return of the Pink Panther. With Sellers, Blake Edwards and company, and just all these great talents, of course. And then you had a few other ones as well. But of course, Peter Sellers' death, which is very, very sad, of course, tragic. But yes, we'll be reviewing the rest of these films, and yes, thanks for watching my review.